We moved to Charlotte, and then everything changed from there. Charlotte was just a stomping ground. That was a life-changing moment.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It is me here, Michael Franti, and welcome to this week's edition of the Stay Human podcast, as always presented by Gibson Guitars. And I'm super excited to be here today because I got some folks who we've been traveling with out on the road this summer, and we've had a great time touring. I love their music. I'm super inspired by them, and I know that you will be too as you learn about their story. And I really know nothing about these guys except I just love the stuff that they do on stage. So I'm as eager as you are to learn about Of Good Nature. So please welcome to this week's show, the band Of Good Nature. What's up, you guys?
What's going on?
All right, so just take the mic and introduce yourself so people know who you got here.
My name is David Hamilton Jr., and I'm the drummer for Of Good Nature.
I am Cam Brown, and I sing and play guitar.
I'm Clifton Bundick, and I play bass guitar.
Brandon Hucks, I play trombone.
Awesome. Hey, so I don't know when it was that I first saw you guys, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And I love the energy that you guys bring. And I feel a certain, connection and kinship because you guys travel a diverse musical terrain, and doing, funk, reggae, there's elements of jazz, you have horns, it's a compound musical equation, and that's how my music has always been. And so let's just start first of all with what each of you guys bring to the equation, and then we'll go in deeper on, where each of you guys come from. So,
well, I definitely think I bring a little bit more of the jazz, hip hop, and R&B feel.
Yeah, I think I bring maybe the pop.
My part of the equation, I probably bring the rock vibe, little rock and roll edge.
Okay.
I like to bring like more spacey vibe and energy to the trombone. So just take different roles and kind of like put a trombone spin on it.
Yeah. And do you guys all come from the same part of the country?
Us three were born in Charlotte, North Carolina, and Dave is from Buffalo, New York.
And did you guys know each other at all growing up, or?
No. I mean, we all are Charlotte scene musicians. We're all from Charlotte, but we didn't know each other until I started the band about 10 years ago, is when Of Good Nature started to form with Joey, who you met on the boat. He was a founding member. He was playing djembe with us. And then Brandon came in the picture about 8 years ago. But I think we've all just met and just playing in different bands. We all had our own little projects going on in Charlotte, and the music really just brought us together. That was no other connection other than that. But it's funny that we found out later, after Brandon was already in the band, that our uncles were like best friends.
Oh, wow.
And grew up in high school together, went to each other's weddings.
That's far out.
So we are connected more than we thought.
Cam, what was it like for you growing up in Charlotte, and specific, not just Charlotte, the town, but your house, your home? What kind of a family did you grow up in?
Yeah, it was definitely, a musical family, not in the sense of instrument playing, but everybody was listening to music. My sister was dancing as a kid. My brother played drums and guitars. My grandma played piano in the church. My great grandma played organ in the church, and they're from Rockwell, North Carolina, like a small country town outside of Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
So I spent a lot of my time up there with them. I think in my early childhood music, a lot of church stuff and just like oldies and things like that, kind of with my grandma. And then also my dad brought in the side of Guns N' Roses and Lynyrd Skynyrd and also Bobby Brown and hip hop and funky stuff. So man, it's really all over the place.
And what did your folks do for a living?
So my dad's a businessman. He started a business buying and selling airplane parts, which my grandfather kind of got into that coming out of the Air Force. So family business there. I kind of grew up around that. And, as a kid, I was in the warehouse sweeping up and always just seeing how I could be productive in that world as well. And I think that definitely came into my life in music. And, before music, I was focused on culinary arts and I went to school for that, and dishwasher since I was 15. So I think that hard work for my dad was definitely instilled in me there.
So when you were a kid coming up, were there instruments in the house all the time, or was it mainly music that was on the radio or on the stereo that you guys were hearing? Or
I think as a kid, it was mainly just radio, stereo, and church. And then at my grandma's, there was a piano. So I could fool around with that and sit with her, sit on her lap. That's pretty early childhood. And then about 12, 13 years old, some kids in the neighborhood had like guitars and drums and stuff.
mm-hmm.
And that's when me and my brother, I think I was 13 years old is when I got my first, we shared drums, guitar. Then we later got bass, later got a keyboard. And 13, 14, he and I were playing everything.
Wow. What was the hardest thing for you as that time, like 12, 13 years old, not in music, but just being a kid at 12, 13, what were the things that were most difficult for you?
Yeah. I think, I was really into sports up until that time. I thought I was going to play basketball on TV or thought I was going to be an NFL player.
Uh-huh.
I think that's around the time where I was like, oh, there's more than just workout. It's not like I was lifting weights, but just train and there's more than sports and balls and all this. There's arts and music. I think I was just stepping into that. And I don't know if it was difficult or what, but I do remember at school it being a thing. People saying, are you a skateboard or guitar dude now? Or something like that. And I don't think that really ever bothered me, but I do remember that as a kid.
Yeah. You're weird, man.
Yeah. I was like, all right, well, that's fine. This seems way cooler.
Yeah.
But, then I continued playing sports as well. So it's not a balance of everything.
And was your family supportive of kind of whatever you wanted to do? Or did they try to say, hey, man, we want you to go into the family airplane part business? And, if anything short of that is going to be a disaster for us, or were they really open to anything you wanted to be?
They were open. I wasn't necessarily, I did have thoughts of music as a career at that point. Started to get to 15, 16 years old. I started to write songs, and get down to acoustic guitar and stuff like that. So my mom definitely, but at the same time, I was working in a restaurant and kind of going after that stuff, getting obsessed with food and cooking and everything like that. So my mom was definitely and my dad was pushing me in that direction as an actual career, supporting my music, supporting the creative. But I don't think it was a serious thing until really my early 20s when I quit my job as, a line cook in Charleston and then started the band. And that's when my family was my mom was definitely worried that I was making a short decision and just leaving all this out, leaving all this stuff behind just to go off of music and it'd be a party mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me a while to get through that part of things. But I made it to the other side.
Yeah. Well, why did you? What was the thing that pulled on you that made you say, God, I'd really much rather wash dishes, but I'm going to do music.
Yeah. Well, I started, it was just so being a young man and coming up with all these different paths now, I'm kind of branching off. It's really hard to understand of what can be done. So I think at 21, I was working in the kitchen, line cook, making my way up in Charleston at a nice restaurant.
So it was a legit career. You were
legit career.
Yeah, beyond dishwasher. You were yeah.
But everybody was cool in the kitchen. And I think this is why music continued, because I feel the kitchen and music kind of has a lot of parallels. Everybody in the kitchen loves to share music, loves to go to concerts. Your schedule's almost based off of what shows coming to town. It's oh, I'm going to that show. All right, go to the next show. There's a lot of that. And they let me have Thursday nights off, I think, in Charleston.
Mm-hmm.
I had a Thursday night acoustic gig. And then that just kind of grew. And then I'd run and do gigs in Charlotte. We'd have an opening show or something at the Visual Light Theater. So I'd run and do that. And it just kind of, more stuff started happening. I could make some money off that. And it was it came to a time where I made a decision. This is what I want to do. I've written 10 songs now that I feel are legitimate songs. I started to have confidence in my music, and yeah.
So at what point, who came next in the Of Good Nature saga? Brandon.
B-Hux.
All right. Grab the mic, Brandon. So tell me about your life. When you were growing up, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Charlotte. My mother did most of the raising, kind of as a single mother, but she did her thing. And just really, nobody in my family were musicians necessarily, but she always was playing music in the house. And actually how I got into trombone was, I was I kind of want to be in the school band. So she took me to the little orientation thing. And it was right when Drumline had just come out. So everybody had been drummers. And I wanted to be a drummer.
Yeah.
And they were like, she looked at my fingers and was like, you'd make a good trombone player. I didn't even know what a trombone was at like
what do trombone fingers look like?
I don't either. I think it was just a way to kind of like
end,
get you encouraged. I don't know, get hyped up. But she stayed on me to practice growing up through school.
That's awesome. I played trombone in 4th and 5th grade. And I didn't practice. I was terrible at it. And I remember just feeling because I had an older brother he is an incredible trumpeter. And I felt so worthless, and struggling with this big instrument. And even when, in your 4th grade, carrying a trombone home, it's heavy, and like one side of your body's hanging longer than the other is, and so I admire your discipline at that age to be able to to stick with it. And, playing a horn is, your embouchure, and with a trombone, it's not like you just have keys. You have to know by hearing how far out to slide it, So talk to me about that as a kid. Was it something that you really loved, or was it just your teacher going, look, if you're going to do this, man, you got to really buckle in here?
I think initially it was the teacher, but then I fell in love with the instrument, and I still fall in love with it more and more every day. I never stopped growing my love for the trombone.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it's just a fascinating instrument.
And so you're growing up, you said as a single mom, were your parents divorced?
Yeah, they were. I had 2, but then my mom remarried when I was around 11 or 12.
Yeah. What was that like for you? Being a kid and, a new dad showing up? And
that was probably a rough patch, rebellious period.
Yeah. Tell me about that. What was your rebellious period like? What kind of things were you getting into?
Definitely got into punk rock.
Okay.
And stuff like that. My outlet was music.
Yeah. So how did that manifest, just in terms of kids that you were connecting with or other people that you were connecting with through that music? I
was definitely always drawn to the wrong crowd. I would say that. But I think I was always looking for a place to fit in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what music does for us, is it gets into us, and then whatever we're drawn to, we find other people who dig it in that same way, and it creates community. And, that's what I've always been about as an artist, is trying to, share my thoughts and feelings, emotions and values through my songs. And then I hope that someone hears and goes, I get that. I relate to that, And so tell me about that. At what point in your life growing up as a musician, or just as a kid, or just as a person in general, did you start to go, oh man, there's something in this for me that's positive. There's something in this that's, saving my soul, or it's moving me away from this destructive, pattern that I'm starting to form.
So I started playing drums, and just playing music in church gave me that outlet and got me out of having to be somewhere.
Yeah.
That gave me somewhere just to practice music and focus. And as I got older, I saw that music was a positive impact in my life, because I saw other people that I was hanging out with in the past and the directions they went through. And I noticed there was one constant in my life, and that was music.
And so then at what point did you and Cam link up?
We linked up, probably met around 2011, 2012, probably 2012. We were just playing the Charlotte music scene. I was in a band called Queen City Dub, and Joey, the former percussion player, and Chris, I played jazz with the original founding bass player. Were like, come sit in at this gig. It was Mellow Mushroom pizza place. And they were like, dude, we'll give you all the tips if you just that'll be your pay.
Yeah.
The tips were a lot. It was over $100 in tips the first time I ever played with them. But I met them, and then it became a common thing. They would call me up before and hey, sit in. I'm like, yes. So I would show up. Didn't know hardly. I mean, I listened to their music.
So who was in the band at that point? Cam, Joey?
Was playing drums.
Yeah.
And Chris Andrews was playing bass. I remember the first legit gig you came to was at DC Shamrock Fest.
Oh yeah.
And that was, it was a different time of the band, really. Like you said, we were playing at Mellow Mushroom at his first gig. So it's still me learning how to make money, but also
for those of you who don't know Mellow Mushroom, it's like a southeast pizza chain, you know, and it's psychedelic. It's like if the Grateful Dead opened a pizza chain,
Exactly. So for early gigs, it's all right, but that's not where you want to at least for me, I didn't want to continue my career at those kind of gigs. So, and I think alcohol was a big problem in me, like getting out of that world.
Mm.
So there was really 4 years of Upgood Nature that were not wasteful, but just like a very big life learning lesson to me, and business learning lesson. Complete learning lesson of just like, you got to focus on what you need to be focusing on. There's all these things in the world that'll get in the way of that. Without even, as a 23-year-old man, I didn't even realize that I was completely addicted to alcohol and just like drowning my life.
Wow.
So it took a little while to get out of that and realize and reassess. And then, Brandon was there, first person coming out of that when we wanted to reassess the band and like take it to another level. He was like, we need to figure out how we're going to tour. We need to figure out. He was a big part of that.
Tell me about that, about just drinking for you. Was it something that like you were like, look, I got to stop. I need to go into AA? Or was it something that was like, I just recognize that I'm just doing this to party, and I'm not, if it's just a party all the time, we're not really going to be able to get out of mellow mushroom. We're going to be playing for beer,
right,
for the rest of our life.
It was years of all those thoughts, really. I think the original thought is like, I need to get through this. I'm never going to get this album done. I'm never going to get to this goal or whatever if I'm going to be drinking. So I need to stop this. And then that's a thought. And then it took me almost 2, maybe 3 years to actually cut it.
Yeah.
I tried stopping a few times, went to some kind of like outpatient situation, more just like talks, meetings. But I wasn't necessarily, I thought I was ready, but I wasn't ready. I stopped for about a month, and it felt like the longest time, but it was only a month, and I was right back to it for another couple of years. And then it just, a DUI happened, and there's just too many things in my life that I had to change. And it wasn't like I have to stop drinking forever. It was like, I just have to stop drinking now. And then ever since then, I haven't had a drink. And the world has changed, and the band has grown, and it's been great.
When was that? How long ago?
I think it was 6.5 years ago.
6.5 years ago. Wow, that's awesome. And so then who came next?
Smooth D.
Smooth D, yeah. Tell me about your childhood. What was it like? Your family,
Yeah.
What was it like being in Buffalo?
Well, I was only in Buffalo for about a year before I moved. That was around 98. The economy in Buffalo was absolutely terrible. Couldn't make a lot of money. My dad and then was riding in a old like neon type car. The windows busted out on him. It was so cold.
That must be cold.
It was so cold.
No,
the snow was above your house. So we moved to Charlotte, and then everything changed from there. Charlotte was just stomping ground. That was a life-changing moment. The economy was a lot better in Charlotte. The people were amazing. They're not like upstate. There's a lot of retaliation going on. A lot of crime in Buffalo, a lot of drug dealing in Buffalo. So my parents got me away at a great time.
And how old were you at that time?
I was 1 year old when I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina.
Wow.
Yes. Also when I started playing drums.
Okay. So you're born in Buffalo?
Born in Buffalo, New York.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
What was your family like? What did your folks do?
Family is hardworking, very hardworking. My mom, she works for Ingersoll Rand. And my dad, he's a truck driver. So they're consistently working throughout the whole week. They both are musicians as well. My mom sings, very great singer. My dad is a piano player. Also was an elder in the church as well. But he's a great piano player, and he got me into drums. I was started playing off pots and pans. Yeah. And I was like, before I was like even 1 year old, and I turned 1, my dad got me my first drum set. So started playing.
Did you have brothers and sisters too?
I got, at the time, it was just me and my older sister. Okay. My older sister, Janasia. But now I do have like 4 or 5 other brothers and sisters now.
Nice.
I grew up helping raise them because my parents were all so busy just working.
Well, did your father do long haul trucking, or was it like a
long
local?
Haul.
So he would be gone for
it started locally. It started locally. He was doing like rooms to go, and then he would help move furniture and stuff like that. Yep. And then he started working for like other like Snyder and stuff. But then he got his own trucking company, and when he got his own trucking company, he started doing like across the the world type of
Yeah.
driving. I don't know how he do it. He can drive from here to New York, no sleep, and then drive straight to Miami. Like
Wow.
I don't know how he do it.
Wow.
But he inspired me to grind that hard.
Yeah, to work hard.
Sleep.
So when he was gone, you said that you were helping out raise the other kids. So,
Yes,
so you're the oldest?
I'm the second
The
oldest.
second oldest. So
Yes.
did you feel like that sense of like, dad's away, I got to kind of step up at an early age?
I did, and my dad also had a talk with me like before, just saying like, "Look, son, I'm gonna be gone." This is when I was like probably like 4 years old, 5 years old.
Wow.
And he was just like, "Look, you in charge of the house. You gotta look after the house." Just building up that little momentum.
Yeah.
And ever since then, though, I would take that responsibility. I look after my older sister, and sometimes felt like my younger sister. And my other baby sister came into the play. Then my little brother came into the play, and I would just spend hours babysitting them and just watching them while my parents would work, as well as playing music.
Yeah.
So all my time really, and to this day, still goes to my siblings. I still have a 5-year-old sister. The oldest right now, she's 26. So, and then the other ones are 16, 13, 14 now. And it's still teenagers.
Yeah.
So they still learning curves.
And so when you were a teenager, at what point did music become like a thing for you? Like, this feels like something I want to go in this direction. Or were there other things that you had in your heart, other ideas of what you wanted to do with your life? Or?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I was playing sports. Football and basketball was my main thing. Definitely football, because I was the short guy and I wasn't so tall to play basketball. So I knew I didn't have a future in basketball. I just knew I could shoot. That's all I knew. But playing football was my momentum. I was a running back, and then I played linebacker and slot wide receiver here and there.
Yeah.
But I could run over people, and that's all I knew I could do. So football was like my momentum, and then I thought about getting hurt, because I've hurt some people, and then I've seen some people get hurt as well. And I was like, well, since that could be a end goal career, maybe I should have a backup plan. And my backup plan from with drums turned into my A plan. So all my coaches started laughing at me. They're like, you're going to start marching now. You're going to start marching now.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, yeah, I am. Proudly said, I'm leaving. I'm going to start marching.
And so did you?
I did. I marched for 1 year.
Yeah.
As well as playing other gigs. Around 15 years old, I started playing a lot of jazz around town.
Yeah.
Because I was already playing gospel from like 5 years old in church and stuff. I played in like pretty much every church I could think of in Charlotte.
Yeah.
So I was bouncing around, but I started playing a lot of jazz. And then I started realizing, okay, I can play multiple genres. Started playing salsa with another band, and then started playing country here, and then turned into a little bit of rock and reggae. But when I quit, then I started playing for the marching band. That made me realize, okay, maybe it's gonna be my full-time thing. And after that, I never looked back. I never went back to sports. I later met my coaches. They seen me playing at gigs in Charlotte. It was like, now I realize why you quit.
Why
you
committed to it. Yeah.
Right. They never knew back then why I quit.
Yeah. I think a lot of us struggle with that. A lot of kids who grew up playing sports, there's such division in high schools where it's like you got to fit in with one group or another group or this group or this group. And if you're trying to, you can't be two of them, and for sure you can't be three of them. And so how was that for you, just kind of like making that transition? Did you feel like, I got this, or that it must have been hard to make that decision? Like, I'm going to actually leave the football team and be in the stands and at halftime playing for the football team. I mean, that's a tough decision for a kid who's, 15, 16 years old, know?
I mean, to be honest, making that decision was one of the easiest things I could have done, because I've already experienced hard failures before them.
Okay.
And I believe that doors are open for a reason, and your eyes are open for a reason. Like, my parents were divorced my 7th grade year of football.
Yeah.
And that took a toll on me, like personally, when it came to sports, because I was doing sports and then music. So when I got to high school, I was still taking care of my siblings, and then quitting football when that day came about, when it came up to practice time and my coach just handed me my helmet, I was just like, you know what, coach? I'm okay. I'm good. I'm going to go home and I'm not going to show back up. And I thought about my friends. Yeah. That's the only thing that kind of hurt. I was like, well, I can make new friends. My friends are still going to be my friends, regardless of what they think. So at that point, I would have just been supplying the coaches what they wanted, which was a running back. And I thought, well, if I can just do me and make myself happy, I feel a lot better. And I'm all about being happy. I wake up happy. I fall asleep happy. Yeah. Everything is just, happiness was more important. And that's why I made it so easy to quit.
That's really, really sage wisdom right there. I mean, really. Most people take a lifetime to figure that out. So that's really good.
Appreciate it.
So now we come to the final.
Oh.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Good, man. So tell me about you. You were also growing up in Charlotte, but were you aware of these guys? And
Yes, actually, we all kind of like melded together from different bands, different venues, and I met Brandon through his first band, Quincy Dub. So when I met him, he just put me on with another group that I was running with for a long time called Lovely Buds. And throughout time, we were opening for Of Good Nature for a few years, and then Dave joined them as well. And so I was always aware of Good Nature from my start of my musical career. And Brandon gave me that call, or I believe Dave gave me a call in March to join the band, and I said yes.
Of this year. Nice. Tell me about you. What was it like for you growing up?
My childhood was pretty straightforward. I had a mom and dad, very hardworking parents. My mom was a nurse, and she was in the hospital scene. My father, he owned his own business. He was in the construction. He was an engineer. He built the house we grew up in it too, the very first house. So the first thing I knew growing up was that my dad played drums. There was a drum set in the house and I would play on it. I would like fiddle on his drum set. But after a while, Dad quit playing drums. He was a hardworking man when he started his own business up. And then we moved, and then my sister came about. So me and my sister were really tight growing up. She was like my best friend. We would always just keep each other busy.
Yeah.
Creatively. And so by the time my parents divorced, I was like 12 in 7th grade. Mm-hmm. And I guess I went through my rebellion stage too, which lasted all throughout high school. But all through that time, I was realizing I had to make my own map for myself. Like I had to choose my own path. And from 6th grade, I was playing percussion, trumpet. But 7th grade, I chose to play the bass. I chose bass mainly because my uncle played bass. My dad took me to a show at the Visual Light Theater. They were called Groove 8, and they're a funk 8-piece band. And I ended up actually playing for them not 2 years ago. I was playing bass with them in San Francisco. That meant a lot to me. Like it showed me like the growth that you can go to where you even started, like the source. So for me, that was a big deal. So from 12 years old, I was playing bass. I've always stuck with the bass because I know someone's going to need a bassist. Nobody wants to play bass. So I was like, well, I'll play the bass. So I knew the demand was there. Yeah. I didn't even want the spotlight of the guitar. I didn't want to have 50 pieces of my instrument as a drum set, so I chose the simple route in a way. But also, I just wanted the control as well. I would have my drum set at my mom's house after school in high school. We'd get off the bus and we were going to my house and we were jamming.
Yeah.
Every day after school.
And what kind of music were you playing at that time?
Well, around high school, I was in church for about 2.5 years. So I was playing gospel very consistently. Mm-hmm. I was in 8th grade jazz band. So I was aware of jazz. I learned how to read. Mm-hmm. I learned my scales, and church, I learned my music system. So for me, music was kind of just like a thing. But I guess I got introduced into rock music and blues probably 8th grade. Mm-hmm. When I had some buddies in the neighborhood. We would have our skateboards and have our amps, and we would just like go to each other's houses, wherever the gym was. That's where we would go. Yeah. So we started playing Jimi Hendrix, like Cream. I mean, anything I could listen to, I would try to pick it up. Like Green Day, and then for me, it was new. So I started to realize what was the most impactful music throughout history. And so I'll kind of focus on these certain bands and I'll learn from them.
Yeah.
Just musically, rhythmically. I've spent a lot of time listening to music, and I wasn't in marching band or anything like that, but I definitely was jamming
just playing all the time.
Just playing it. People started to recognize, like, and I would be just talking about music or just, always looking for it.
Yeah. When you guys play now, and as you've been band for 10 years, but you've got, new people, and how much of it is collaboration, or just one of you write songs, or do you guys all come with different ideas at times and go, hey, I got this idea for a song, or how does the songwriting process go?
It's always different, but I think, we're actually writing a new album right now. Cliff involved, and he's killing it. I think generally speaking, we have these voice memos. So we're just like, if we're sound checking today and Dave and Cliff are doing some cool jam, I'll voice memo it. And then that could sit in my phone for 3 years, or it can, and then turn into a song. You'd be like, oh yeah, well, this is something cool. And then we all listen to it. We're like, yeah, let's call it Jungle Jam. Mm-hmm. And then next thing we know, like, we jam that in a rehearsal, and then I record that. So then now we have a 5-minute jam to listen to. And then I can drop some of that stuff into Logic, piece it around.
Mm-hmm.
Be like, oh, this horn line that Brandon was playing was cool. Maybe that's the bridge line or whatever. Like, we could just move it around and checking in with these guys along the way and doing rehearsals and writing sessions. And then, yeah, I typically do more of the lyrics, but we all get our eyes on that as well. We all share everything.
In March, when I was coming into Of Good Nature, I noticed how the process that Cam goes through to write a song, and I find it very fascinating. He's very good at letting you communicate your ideas. Coming into this environment, it felt very like homely. It wasn't new because I had ideas prepared.
Mm-hmm.
And so did Cameron and David. So collaboration with them was like really easy. So like, we'll trade instruments sometimes and we'll just like fill out what works and not so much what's correct.
Awesome. What would you say is the mission of your band? What are you guys trying to do? What do you want to bring to the world?
My personal kind of like plan or objective is to inspire other people. And like whether that's music, whether that's visual arts, any type of decision, just inspire, be that spark to somebody. Because I know like some of the most positive things people have told me has been like, you inspired me to finish this piece I was doing. Or
wow.
Just that keyword, inspire. And I like thought about it over the pandemic, and I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to inspire.
You mentioned that you've mentioned multiple times in this tour that we inspire you, which is mind blowing to me. Because when I was like 16 years old, when I was mentioning getting more into acoustic guitar and songwriting, you were like actually in the kitchen I was working at, I remember Chef Cody was like, yo, dude, you got to check this dude, Michael Franti. He played songs from the front porch, the acoustic album. I think Oh My God was the first one I heard, which that's on every playlist still to this day that I make. And Stay Human, all that stuff. So for you to say that to us is really mind blowing, because that was a big turning point in my musical career and just being a young man and like trying to figure out how music works and writing lyrics, and there can be a positive focus on this and there could be meaning behind it. And then Yellfire came out. I remember that. I saw you at Neighborhood Theater, and that was like a whole moment in my life as well. So, I mean, thanks for having us on this tour.
Yeah. Well, we're stoked to have you guys. And the thing that I am inspired by and what I see in you guys is like this ability to be yourselves, to be an authentic collection of people, and people look at my music all the time and they go, what genre of music are you, and I say, well, we had a song in the top 40, so we're a top 40 band, like that's what we are, but really I don't have a genre of music, and I don't like genres of music, and I look at music as if it was any other medium. Like if you have paints, it's like, well, today I'm going to use oil paints, and tomorrow I'm going to use watercolor. Next day I'm going to incorporate charcoal, and then today I'm going to tear up some magazines and put it in there and stick it on there with glue, and then I'm going to put it in an installation and hang it from a ceiling. It's like, I don't know. It's like whatever I feel is I'm trying to find the best way to express it. And, you know, I do start with the acoustic guitar mostly to just find it, you know, and try to find the melody and trying to find the words. It's just like a tool for me. But then I'll bring it to the band, or I'll just make beats myself and try to find a way to get it across. And so in some ways it's helped me to have a long career because I'm always changing. And in other ways, it's stifled my career because I don't do one thing that's easily identifiable for formats at radio or whatever. But ultimately, like what you were saying, just I'm happy. Like I like doing it this way. I like challenging myself every day to try to do something new. And that's what I see in the uniqueness of what you guys are. And so when I look out in the world of bands, I think, well, what other band in the world is, you know, drums, bass, guitar, and trombone? Like I can't name one, you know, and that's cool. And that makes you guys be unique, you know. But the thing that I really like about your music is that happiness does come through, that joy does come through, that thing of finding like grooves and finding words and saying things that make people, when they come to your show, feel like you said, inspired. Like, you know, I came in, I had a shitty day, and, you know, I'm leaving here and I feel better. You know, I don't know what happened, but there's something in me that feels more alive. And if I'm going to finish that painting, or I'm going to quit my job, or I'm going to have that hard talk with my girlfriend at home, like whatever it is, like I'm now feeling like that something in me to be able to do that, you know. And I see you guys doing that, and I want to encourage you guys to like keep being yourself. Don't try to be what everybody else is doing. Just be you, you know. And that's what the great bands that are, you know, really come to have a sound, you know, like Dave Matthews, for example. It's like, well, what genre is Dave Matthews? You know, it's like the only thing you can say is it's Dave Matthews music. You either like it or you don't, but it's him, you know, and his band, and they've created that, you know. And so I've got one question for each of you guys, and the same question that I ask everybody who comes on the podcast. And just in 2 minutes or so, just describe to me, what does it mean to you to be human, and how do you stay that way in this crazy world we're living in? How do you hold on to it?
Yeah. So when I hear the word human, I think immediately of like human body. I love yoga and, you know, I don't know, just music and everything you input your body, you're going to put out. So I think staying human to me, I just think of like all these things you can take in your body, whether it's food or drink or music or news or content, all these things. I think, you know, for me, trying to stay human is like coming into my 30s now. It's like what comes into my body is what I put out, or at least it greatly affects that. So I need to like all these little things I watch, or all this stuff is a big deal, and people you surround yourself and everything else. So I think just knowing your body, you know, whether that's physical, mental, spiritual, and just knowing what you put in and also being aware of what you put out, because they coincide. Big deal.
When I hear the word human, I think of imperfection and I think of energy. One, we humans are imperfect, but when you create the willingness to want to do something, you get it. And when you create the energy, like Cameron was saying, what you put in your body will fill you up or empty you out. I think of imperfection and energy, and what I do to stay human is, like I said, wake up, being happy. I always listen to other people, no matter who. I create a lot of friends around the world, and that's just from a lot of people having trials and tribulations. And I just like to listen to them, hear them out, and I could not say a word. You know, I could just be there. And I like to just be there for people, you know, whether it's picking up something or lending out a little money here. You know, just whatever when somebody's in need, I like to be there.
And one way I try to stay human is like practicing compassion. Like you don't really know what somebody else is going through. And during the pandemic, I really like had a hard time. But by me being in that hard time, I went to a place and there was a clerk. They were so nice, genuine, kind of like whenever you greet me. It's just like the most genuine. You shut out everything and you just greet somebody. And I was like, changed my life. And like now I think it's like, why didn't I do that my whole life? Like there's so much people are going through that we don't know.
To stay human, I try to stay as aware as possible of my surroundings, my body, the way I feel, the way other people feel. I practice compassion. And human to me is just experiencing new things. And that's how you know you're a human, when you can feel something from something you haven't done before. And especially if you like it, you might do it again. But, you make sure you want it to be a positive effect. So to stay human is to take care of yourself and the people around you.
Right on. Hey, thanks, you guys. It's awesome being on the road with you and just seeing your growth over the years. And I know our fans have, just from the social media and just talking to fans after the show and just seeing the reaction when I peep in on your guys' sets, like people are really digging what you guys are doing. And I look forward to just seeing you guys evolve and develop and learn and write together and become the best that you guys can possibly be, Folks can keep up with you guys on Instagram. I know that. I follow you guys. You guys are pretty active on there. You guys have a new EP that's out also of Chili Peppers covers, which is really awesome. I've checked it out. It's great. What else are things that people can look forward to coming up?
Yeah, we're hitting the road. We're flying back and we're hitting another tour with our boys from Pacifier. We got the Soulshine Cruise, which we're
Soulshine at Sea. They're going to be on the boat. So,
oh man,
yeah, it's going to be fun.
That's a big one. And yeah, just at Of Good Nature, ofgoodnature.com. We're writing new music. We're releasing music. We got a new lyric video that's amazing for our Lovely Day cover that's about to drop. So yeah, check out the new cover EP. Spotify, iTunes, all that stuff.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here today on the Stay Human podcast. And as always, we want to say a big thank you to Gibson Guitars for sponsoring the show. And tune in to next week's episode where we're going to have somebody super awesome on as well. And in the meantime, take this week and dip into the Of Good Nature Spotify channel. Check out their YouTube. Go listen to their new EP. Just do a deep dive on them, and I'm sure you'll hear some great stuff in there that you have never heard before that you'll find as interesting as I have. All right, y'all. Peace.
Peace.